It's time for Living Your Purpose, a motivational and inspirational podcast with Peter and Joyce Nielsen.
Welcome to Living Your Purpose. I'm here with my lovely wife, Joyce. My name is Peter Nielsen, and we're super excited. This is season 2 already. Time flies by, babe, right?
It sure does.
And whether you're tuning in from the West Coast to East Coast, my friends up in Canada, whether you're listening on Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, we're just glad that you're here. And really, if you're watching for the first time, this show is really about you. And I think one of the most powerful emotions is purpose. I mean, one of my vanity plates on our car is purpose. And the reason why is that if you're not living on purpose, then you're doing life on the sidelines. You're watching other people. I should have, I could have, I would have. But when you're truly living with purpose, I believe then you're destined to be who God has created you to be. And many times people in their 50s and 60s will ask me at an event, Peter, you talk about purpose so much, how do I find my purpose? And I'll just leave with this before we get on, is that if someone stays curious, if you stay curious like a child, children are crazy, man. It's like they're asking a million questions, they're looking at things, they're staying curious. And when you stay curious, you learn. And when you learn, you grow. And when you learn what you like, you become passionate about it. And then after you become passionate about it, I believe that collides with purpose. Because then you find out what you're good at, what you like, you continue to do it, people sort you out. And what a concept. My whole life, I feel like I've never worked. And I feel like I'm living with purpose because I have such enthusiasm in the health and wellness field because of what I've been through. So that's the reason why we've named the show. And today is really all about probably one of the most difficult things, babe, that I think people that email us or that ask questions or you have dreams or desires is change. And I think the fear factor is what really creates people to get stagnant or to get paralyzed in that moment. Most people are afraid to change. A lot of people, including me in my life, sometimes they'll say, God, I love where, right? I love where I am. I don't want to change. And I always use the analogy that God always, I feel, speaks to me. I want you to get out of your black fuzzy slippers. I want you to get in the water, and I want you to swim to where I have plans for you. And I always use the analogy, I'm on a great, cruise liner, and I'm comfortable, and then all of a sudden, God will poke me, gnaw at me, sometimes corner me to get in the water, but he has something magnificent, something new. And if you're not changing, you're not growing. If you're not growing, in my opinion, you're dead on arrival. You just don't know it yet. So what I want to talk about today is the importance of change, the way that we're changing seasons, the way that we're changing as we age, we evolve in relationships, we grow. And that's part of the journey. That's part of the excitement of this thing called life. So I know that a lot of people that we even know, we pray for, but they're stuck in their same little situation. But I'll leave with this, the blessings that happened 10 years ago, the celebrations, the breakthroughs that happened 3 years ago, that's behind you. You can celebrate, you can have peace, but then you need to have new goals that are going to create new change. And I believe that God wants us to start something new in new seasons. And so many people get stuck and love to talk about that through this show.
The funny thing about it is I really think it's on perspective, and you have to look at it as a positive thing in your life because change is inevitable. It's one of the things in life that is for sure is you are going to experience change. So it's if you embrace it and look at it as evolution of your mind, your heart, your soul, you're able to better process those transitions because we all have them, like you said, either in your life or career or moving, relationships, your body as you age.
Divorce.
Yes.
Crohn's disease. I mean, I could have looked at it the other way. I could have said life sucks and this is terrible and go into a little black hole and just feel like the victim. But when you do have change approach you, you have a choice. You could either go one way or the other way. You can see the glass half full or half empty. You can see this as a disaster or a learning process.
Correct, yes. And then as long as you take what you learned and channel it towards your future so you don't repeat those same mistakes, or you learn what you like and you don't like, because even our purpose changes as we get older and our goals change.
Why?
And I know that you specifically have had some major uproots in your life that have really been forced upon you or discovered that transitioned the entire pathway of where you were going in life. And for example, that when you were diagnosed with Crohn's.
Right. I mean, think about it. It's like, when I was diagnosed, I was 15. So I was on a pity party and no one was going to eat for me. No one was going to train for me. The doctors, I was just a patient, a number. So I really needed to soul search. And one of the biggest changes were my faith. I didn't even believe in the God that, I was grown up to believe in. And it was like putting God in a box. I said, I don't want anything to do with this. So that forced me to change my perspective, my thought process. When I got better and I became a champion in bodybuilding, and then got into television and different things like that, another change happened when I had that near-death experience the second time. That really changed me because it softened my heart. I mean, I was in a coma for 4 days, a hole perforated right in front of my children. I flatlined. They put defibrillators on me 5 different times in an 8-hour surgery. So my thought process was, not only did I want to live, I did see the white light. And, I don't talk about this much, and I've never talked about this on television, actually. But I did see the white light, and I wanted no part of it. It actually pissed me off. I wanted no part of it. And I felt like I had a choice at that moment, even in my subconscious, even in that moment, that moment of life or death. I feel like I had a choice, that God was giving me a choice. I wanted to be back in the house that my children were in, that I left them. I wanted to live. And as soon as subconsciously, and obviously I didn't turn my head, but I felt like I turned away from that light, I woke up. And I woke up, and that was 4 days later, and I was in an induced coma. They took almost 2 feet of my intestines out. The reason why I'm saying all that is that there was such a monumental change in my life that many people don't recover from that psychologically, spiritually, mentally. I learned to change and use that as rocket fuel, and you can too. And I think that's my life song. I never wanted to be a poster child for Crohn's disease, but I really believe that any physical challenge you have, any divorce, any foreclosure, any bankruptcy, any cancer, you have a choice. And if you evolve and change your mindset, change your reasons why you're even here, it can be the most fabulous journey of life. I mean, you and I, we both went through some tough times in relationships.
We all have.
Right, we all have.
We all have.
But both of us are here married because of all the things that we went through, the changes we went through to become the people we are today. And I'm glad that I went through all those changes. I wouldn't wish it on a dog, but I'm so ecstatically happy. I have such enthusiasm towards life that all the experiences and change that I went through got me on the path that I feel our Creator wanted me to be on. And we have this little thing called free will. We could change, we don't have to. We could stay in a toxic relationship, we could leave it. We could evolve and work out and build muscles and eat good and, God willing, live longer. Or we could do life on the sidelines, be a couch potato, smoke, be addicted to food, and suck wind when you're trying to play with your wife, your grandkids, your children. So I do believe that the change, and a lot of people are like, man, I feel so sorry for you. Don't feel sorry for me. I'm blessed beyond measure. And all the things that I've been through, you know, what do I always say to you and I say to our kids? Everybody makes fun of me because I'm constantly taking pictures of sunsets. There's only one sunset per day, and no two sunsets are alike. They're all original, one-of-a-kind masterpieces, artwork that God puts together. And the reason why I'm fascinated every day is that many people don't see tonight's sunset. They're taken home. And my heart became softer with those two near-death experiences. So I live in the present moment. I accept change because I want to grow. I want to grow with this amazing woman. You got an amazing soul. And she brings out the best version of myself. But I also have to get out of my comfort zone because we're different. You don't want an alter ego in business or in a relationship. You want someone that's different, that's going to not only compliment you, but get you out of your comfort zone so you change for the better. And I just thank you and I thank God for this relationship. You know, the last few years has just been amazing. And I say that because there were so many changes. I was single for 19 years. My kids are grown. They're 25 and 28 or 29. I got 2 grandkids. And now all of a sudden I got these 2 amazing little innocent souls, 8 and 11, a boy and a girl. And they're running around in the backyard. And they're in the house. We say prayers together. We watch movies together. My point is monumental change. My head was spinning. Now, I could have been afraid of it, and I was a little, to change. But I wanted to grow. And I'm so glad that I got out of my own way and got into that change mode.
Yeah, it can be daunting whether it's positive things or negative things in your life, just because it's different from what you know, and it's sometimes out of your control. And even for myself, you know, moving and retiring from my job and you know, all those things, we even went through our ups and downs, just settling into a new routine. You know, we love each other and we try every day to be better, but not every day it's going to be perfect. And a lot of times I was wrestling with myself in my head of feeling overwhelmed, or what is my new purpose now that I'm retired from the career field that I was in, and my even becoming a mom, or a parent, and
A
as your
wife.
kids get older, you find a new identity, or a wife, or say you wake up one day and you find out you do have a disease, you have diabetes or heart issues, and all of a sudden you've eaten whatever you wanted your whole entire life, and now you're literally forced to have to come to terms with, you need to change your eating habits, you need to start working out more, and even though you don't want to. And I think my biggest flaw is letting myself be controlled by my emotions. It's like I may be scared to do something. I maybe don't feel like getting up and going down to the gym. I really want to eat my cheese because I love cheese. I always said I would be cheese if I could be a food. And now
98% saturated artery clogging fat is cheese.
And both of my children have a lactose, a little bit of allergy that bothers him. My husband is lactose intolerant. So that was a big change for me too. And I didn't even want to sacrifice because it wasn't bothering me personally, but I know mentally it's not good for me and it's hurting those around me. So even facing those kind of changes.
You're a great cook.
So thank you. But I mean, talking about that, what are some strategies that our listeners can use for the emotional impact that they suffer from the fear of change on going forward?
I think it's a great question, and I think there's a simple application, that 5-second rule. There's a big difference between emotions and response when you have a little time to breathe on it and get out of the emotional state and truly look at the big picture logically on what's going on. I think you need to reestablish your reasons why, what gets you up in the morning, what's important. You need to list your priorities. You truly do. What's important, and Joyce said it best, what was important to me 20 years ago was winning Mr. America, Mr. Universe, making millions of dollars or trying to, and driving around in nice cars, and that was so superficial, and it was great. But now my reasons why are God, family, and establishing a legacy, and to truly operate in Him every day. We all fall short, but these are changes that evolve. I wasn't always like this. People will say, Peter, you're religious. I'm not religious. I think I'm very spiritual, and I have this amazing relationship, personal relationship with God. And that evolved, that changed. The world used to revolve around me, and now I feel that I love with a God love in a selfless way, because of the way my life has changed. But change is a choice. It's not by chance. It is a choice. I choose her every day.
Sometimes you're forced to change and you don't have a choice.
Exactly.
And you just need to deal with how you're going to move forward.
And I think that what you're just saying is there's many times in my life, God will always, and if you're a believer, if you're not a believer, some people call it intuition, some people call it your gut. I call it the Holy Spirit that dwells in me. It will always tell you the difference between right and wrong, and will always give you a signal, whether it's in a dream, through a person, through a song. And I have many times been in those cozy black slippers, not wanting to change. And God has warned me on certain things that were going to change. And I was defiant. And then when that change came, I was upset. And I was really, really ticked off. As the months went by, I realized it was a huge blessing. Right. I needed to get out of my own way. I needed to get my head out of my butt. I needed to realize that God wanted me to evolve, wanted me to grow, wanted to fulfill my purpose in life. But it all comes with change. And like Joyce said, you can either change through your own self, or you're going to be cornered and put in a situation that's very uncomfortable. What do I always say? All the growth is in the valley,
Right.
not on the mountaintops.
I mean, for example, if someone's fired from your job, you can't control that. And
Right.
maybe the market, people aren't hiring in that field anymore. So one of the strategies that I've used, and that has happened to me before, is I learned I write down on paper, okay, I'm going to have to learn a new skill. I'm going to have to write a new resume. I'm going to have to put my efforts in certain areas that are unfamiliar to me. That's really scary. But like listening to podcasts, mindfulness, meditation, growing. You have Soul Strength, one of the books that you've authored that helps people concentrate on growth, personal
Mind,
growth,
body,
and spiritual. And really relying on your faith in those moments and practicing faith over fear helps me personally if I'm feeling anxious from all the things that are going on around me. I mean, I went through a divorce, a move, and a career change all at the same time, and being a single mom, which was my biggest fear that I've ever had to face in my life. And I got through it. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. And a lot of days I cried, and a lot of days I didn't want to do it.
I've watched
and a lot of days
her
I failed.
Yeah.
But I got through it, and I came out better than in the end because I accepted it. I evolved. I adapted new strategies into my life, and that's what it really is. It's growing and evolving.
And you got to do it on your own terms, meaning had a dad that smoked. He died at 49 years young from smoking.
And he refused to change. He didn't want to stop drinking or smoking.
I actually got beat up because of trying to make him change. There's other people that I've tried to tell them the difference between right and wrong. And what I'm saying as we leave this show is that change is inevitable, but everybody's on their own individual journey, even if you're married, even if you're in business. But people need to experience. You could give them insight. You can lift them up. You could be supportive. You could give them a thought process so that they could feed on it. But you can't force somebody to do something, or they're going to rebel, and probably you'll end up getting further away. A wonderful man who started me on radio, Mike Feasy, who was the CEO of WJR for many, many years in Detroit. We would go out to breakfast, and we were in a conversation, and I was saying that I was trying to get a family member to change, blah, blah, blah. And he said, Peter, he says, you're an alpha male, you got a strong personality. He says, love that person to Christ. He says, do not preach to this person because they're gonna vomit on you. It was the best advice I could ever give. Love on people. Don't point your finger. Where's that the old saying? Don't throw stones if you're living in a glass house. Allow people to change. Support them. Be alongside them. Live by example. A lot of times your actions speak louder than words. If you want somebody to eat good, you eat good. If you want somebody to train and lose 40 pounds, you need to be living that too, whether it's with your children, your spouse, or whatever. Before we leave the show, we got so many wonderful things happening. How can people reach us and connect with us if you want to email us or whatever?
Yeah, we'd like to hear your stories about some of the difficulties and change that you went through in your life, or the positive changes that you've made in your life to share that others can be inspired by. And you can contact us on social media, their Instagram, Facebook, Peter Nielsen, the email, peter@peternielsen.com. We're on YouTube now. I think this is our first YouTube video. So, we'll tweak it as we go. But
and finally, you get to see what Joyce looks like. You've been hearing her voice, and she's way better on video. and on radio, we're only
Mhm.
getting a part of it. So thank you for just being led to do this.
Oh,
And
of course.
it's something that has been in my heart. It's a promise that God made over 18 years ago, that the
Yeah.
platforms that He's entrusted me with will change, and I will be doing it with a spouse. And it's been fulfilled, and this is just the beginning. So,
Yeah, I think we should gift someone with one of your soul strength books. If you guys upload your stories, we'll do a drawing and we can autograph
yeah,
and send you a
yeah,
copy because it really is helpful and you just need to focus and get your mind in the right place and you can do anything you put your mind to with faith and God by your side and having a clear direction of where you want to go. You can do it.
it's possible.
Don't let change stop you
Amen
in your
to
tracks.
amen to that.
I even have a 90-year-old grandma that is on Facebook now because she wants to stay in touch with her family. And,
Yeah.
you know, obviously that was something that was daunting and you can do it at any age.
You
So.
can. You absolutely can. Listen, thanks for tuning in today. And we'll be back here the same time next week. You can catch us on YouTube at, I think it's Peter's Principles or Peter Nielsen. You could just find us on social media at Peter and Nielsen, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We just want to hear from you. It's about truly serving you. It's about paying it forward. You know, God has blessed us abundantly, and we want to be a blessing to you. So until next week, it's Peter Nielsen and Joyce Nielsen with Living Your Purpose. God bless.